When Anaheim first introduced A-Town, it was supposed to be a bustling downtown type of community, similar to the Gaslamp district surrounding Petco Park. But after the reality of the housing crash and likely financial incentives, the project ended up being built piece by piece and makes as much sense as an office building where they just kept adding on, with no clear cut overall vision. Regardless, the end result can still be a thriving, moderate density housing project. The closest thing I could think of is the nearby La Floresta community in Brea, which has a Whole Foods, coffee shop, and a few restaurants. So if you can imagine, you get La Floresta and you add a baseball stadium and an Amtrak station to the mix, and you have one desirable place to live.
Today I'm going to be touring the new community called Brio over by the Platinum Triangle of Anaheim, and it's within a community called A-Town, which is right behind me. I'm starting off the tour like a pretty good ways from Brio and A-Town. I'm starting across the street because of, honestly, the townhomes are really just your typical cookie cutter 3-story townhomes. This is really about the area and where this whole development is headed. So you can see back behind me, this has actually been the talk for a very long time. A lot of local residents have been waiting for retail to show up there. I know residents over at the Stadium Lofts and these nearby apartment buildings have been hoping that they get a Whole Foods or any kind of grocery kind of marketplace, even a Trader Joe's. But then this area is going to be developed by Lennar, and they're likely going to have retail on the ground floor. I know the concept art was very ambitious and on a different level with a whole ballpark community inspired by the Gaslamp district. Okay, now I'm walking away from A-Town, headed back over to the area where I'm between Park Viridian and Vivier Apartments. Vivier was actually supposed to be condominium, so I remember when they had model homes for that, but they ended up having an investor buying out the whole thing, pretty similar to what happened over in Irvine. But then in Irvine, kind of the same thing happened with Lennar, and apartments ended up building those out. So what you end up with is a lot of buildings like this in the area, not necessarily the vision of A-Town. A-Town planned to have a few of these in the area, but now it totally dominates the area. It's like 90%, maybe even 95% apartment buildings, which is good for housing, but unfortunately the middle class is going to be renters now, because a lot of these 2-bedrooms go for $3,000 something a month, or $3,200 a month, and a 1-bedroom in studios they start around $2,600 and they go past $3,000 a month. So I will be heading across the street over into A-Town. Well, I really have to look for people walking their dogs over here. All these apartments, they do allow pets, so you see a lot of people walking their dogs over in A-Town. So I'm crossing Catella right now, and Anaheim's really done a good job, because I think this is 4 lanes across both ways, and then now I'm headed over into A-Town from Market Street. What I think is going to happen over here is at least 3-story buildings by Lennar. I think they're going to probably, they could go up to 5 stories when they do these wood frame buildings, because that's what building code allows them to do. But I've also seen them go past 5 stories. There's a building called Lexington over in Irvine where they go to 7 stories high, and what they do with that, they still do a lot of wood framing, but then the first 2 floors, I believe, are concrete. But I'm headed over into A-Town right now. My light's green, and then this is the main thoroughfare where they're originally envisioning all kind of the energy being a lot of foot traffic, people walking here before they head over into the ballpark. And I forget what was the main street that they had intended, but then right now I'm making a left on Park. The next street that's parallel is called Meridian. But then these weren't the street names initially. I think they had Gene Autry going all the way through here, or at least there was some kind of main intersection, and then there was supposed to be a lot of retail development like coffee shops and all that surrounding the park. So now you just have a park surrounded by what's going to be townhomes and then some one-story flats. And the flats, the community is called Aaliyah. These are all on my website if you go under A-Town. So let's go on inside over here and then check out what these townhomes are all about. But like I said, I'm not going to spend a lot of time there because of once you've seen one of them, you've seen them all. 3-story townhomes where it's going to be the kitchen on the 2nd floor and then bedrooms up on the 3rd floor. You might get some models where there's a downstairs bedroom, but then you're still relying on a kitchen and going up and down the stairs.
So I just entered the ground floor of Plan 1, and this one looks like this is somewhat of a flex area. And I'll know in a minute if this is one of those that could be converted to a downstairs bedroom, but then I can't really imagine much being able to be done here, especially with where these doors are. And because there's no downstairs bathroom, it makes me believe that this cannot be converted into anything else. But either way, you'd be able to use this as an office space or like a play area for kids. So let's head on upstairs to where the kitchen is. This is your master bedroom is going to be 2 flights of stairs up on the 3rd floor. So this is your pretty typical cookie cutter townhome where these ones being built these days have large kitchens. And then the 2nd floor is usually reserved for that kitchen and the living area. So it gives you an idea over here. And again, these are really kind of a dime a dozen. This is the way they're building homes these days, just to maximize square footage and price them at just under $1 million over in the city of Anaheim. Let's go look out the kitchen window right now, and you can see they're building Brio all the way around. These ones start in the high 800s for the smallest floor plan, and then I'll be able to put information up on your screen because I'm not looking at the sales brochure or anything like that, because they did away with those sales brochures long ago. You could still probably get one at the sales office, but then because everything is pretty much self-serve and paperless, you have to go grab that information on your own. So what you're looking at over here is your typical outdoor space for these kind of homes now. You're regulated to a balcony and then sometimes even a 3rd level balcony as well. So let's head on over to, I think this is the master bedroom. So master, you can see it's pretty good size here, but because we're in the model, it's really going to kind of hide the flaws of the residence. So good size shower, double vanity. That's going to be a toilet on the right side. A walk-in closet. This is what you'd get in the Plan 1. Okay, so let's head on over to the secondary bedrooms, and as you can see, we'd be done with the tour for Plan 1. So let's see over here, just your typical bedroom, which would be good for one of the kids or a roommate. And then heading over here, this is the hallway bathroom, pretty basic bathroom. And then I can imagine this is how you would be able to get the place upgraded at some point.
I can easily imagine this place as it gets developed, the value shooting way up. In fact, to get into a townhome, close to $1 million, if not a little more, because over in 100 West, which is the gated community by Toll Brothers, that's about a mile and a half from here, those do go as much as 1.2 million. So this area, remember it, A-Town, There are Melo Roos in this area, and it ranges from the mid 2000s to 3,500. That's higher than across the street. The whole Platinum Triangle area will have Melo Roos, but then even 2,500, 3,500 a year, that still brings your property taxes right around 1.2, and then depending on sales price, of course.
If you go down Gene Autry from State College, you'll see a few mixed-use buildings. These are the first built in the area since stadium lofts were built in 2005. So it's hard to believe that 20 years have gone by to finally get some businesses around the ballpark on this side of the stadium. There's already a few businesses that have opened, like Vintage Wine Bistro and a co-working space. Looks like there will be a doggy daycare and a bar called The Local at Anaheim opening soon. While these are great additions, I have to admit that the wide open spaces and nearby industrial use just ruins the whole flow and continuity of this area. It's hard to imagine this place being a vibrant ballpark area that they initially envisioned.